First meeting in May. Clock on the wall is a little bit slow according to our county treasurer, so I guess it's time to begin. We have our Director of Emergency Management, Melissa Combs, has asked to address the court this morning. Melissa?
Just a couple of things, Judge. First is we are participating today in a statewide communication drill. That is ensuring that our communications are working properly in between us, our locals, and us in the state. So far, that test today has been very successful. We did implement a text group for our EOC staff today. That test has been very successful as well, and we're glad to have that on board and up and going.
Is
Second
this
of
with the
all,
Boone Center?
yes, that is the Boone Center, which is the State Emergency Operations Center in
Yeah.
Frankfort. And so we're doing tests via radios, the normal radio system, fax, email, text messaging, and we will be doing some stuff with our amateur radio operators this afternoon.
Okay.
So pretty much everything that we've got to access them, we'll be testing today. So far been very successful in that. Second of all, it is time for us to review our support for Hazmat 1, which is our regional hazardous materials response team. We have pledged to support them for the last couple of years. That is based on population, 39 cents per capita, which equals, as of the 2010 census, $12,264.72. They did make a response with us on Christmas Day. For those that may remember that, was out there several hours with us utilizing their suits, their monitoring equipment, and their specialties. And the cost estimate for that response was about $12,000. So I think it's a very good investment. We do not have the capabilities to do what they do in county. We have several members that participate with them from local response agencies, but we don't have the budget to do what they do on a yearly basis. Their annual budget is about $75,000, and basically what they're asking us for is a little bit of support to help maintain that equipment, keep everybody's physicals up to date, and to ensure that that equipment is taken care of so that it's available. So,
Mr. Cole, you work in the chemical industry. This is something, I guess, that could be utilized if we have a situation at one of the plants.
Oh, yeah, we have certainly a large amount of chemicals that run the highways and the rails in Marshall County. There's no doubt. There's always a chance for a transportation incident.
And this is a regional group, right, Melissa?
it is a regional group. McCracken County pledges support. Several counties have come on board pledging support, but they do service our Region 1, which is our far western eight counties.
All right.
Yeah, that's the group that was used over in Russ's Trailer Park when we had Mr. Dumas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
And we had, like I said, of course, at Christmas Day, it was a corrosive material that we were dealing with. The year before, they assisted us with an acrylamide tanker that was, setting up upon itself and causing an issue. So, very great group to work with and have always been there for us when we've called upon their specialties. So,
Melissa, can they be utilized if we was to have a large meth lab operation as well, or?
I would need to double check that with
Okay.
them, but they've got some monitoring equipment that could probably help us with that.
If you check
And
into
I'm
that, it'd
sure that
be
they would be
great.
more than happy to. I just don't
Okay.
know how far, I know that's considered a hazardous material, but I don't know about the specialty training into
Okay.
the meth lab stuff, but I will check that with them.
All right, the request is for $12,264.72 to support the area hazmat 1 material response team. What's your pleasure?
Where are we gonna get the money?
That
That's what I was
is
gonna ask
for
with the
next
budget.
fiscal year support, and it
Yes.
is embedded into membership dues.
It's in membership dues already. Okay.
It's already there?
Yes.
We'll put it in.
I meant to mention that, and
Yeah.
I'd make a motion that we approve it then, since it's
Second.
already in the budget.
I have a motion and second that we support the Area 1 Hazmat Material Response Team in the amount of $12,264 and 72 cents. Any discussion on the motion?
None.
None.
Hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Mr. Witt?
Yes, sir. I think we decided to move what I need to discuss toward the end of the agenda, because we'll need to go into executive session if the personnel issue, so.
Okay. I wasn't aware of that. So we'll move you down the list, Mr. Larry. All right. All right, let's move into correspondence. We did get and have responded to an open records request. Dear Judge Executive Miller, pursuant to KRS 61870 through 61880, please provide me with copies of the following documents. The documents detailing the name, position, workstation, and salary of all individuals who receive compensation from Marshall County as officers, employees, independent contractors, consultants, or board or commission members during any part of the year 2011. For the purpose of this request, election poll workers and part-time summer employees' names and information are not requested. This is from Marvin Lee Wilson. This is about the 6 requests like this we've got from him. We did comply with this.
Yes, sir.
Takes about 6 to 8 hours of staff time, but that has been has been responded within the time limit. Mr. County Attorney, I believe we met the time frame on that. Yes, sir. All right. From the Auditor of Public Accounts, at our last meeting, we talked about trying to get a team from the auditor's office to do an efficiency study. I called the auditor the next morning at the request of the court. He seemed baffled by why I was asking that. He said, we don't have such a team. And I said, well, you know, we were understanding that there was such a team, and we would like to be the first one to get them here. And he said, well, I'm sorry, we don't have the money nor the staff to do that. And they sent me a letter. I said, well, would you put something or have somebody put it in writing, because it was our understanding that the auditor's office did provide this service. And he said, no, we do not. And and he did say they were looking into special districts, and there's a big deal going on that special districts across the state, and I'm talking here about fire districts, water districts, sanitation districts, not reporting to their fiscal courts and not having audits performed nor budgets approved. That kind of shocked me, because we've required that for many, many years here in Marshall County. And the auditor said, Judge, y'all are one of the few counties that require that. And I was shocked by that. So he said maybe they misunderstood me, but anyway, I'll just read the letters. It's come to my attention that it might be helpful to send you a quick email regarding services provided by the Office of Public Accounts for clarification. As I'm sure you know, our primary function is to audit the financial statements of county governments, fiscal courts, sheriffs, county clerks, and state agencies. We also perform special examinations to investigate specific concerns we learn about either through our audit work or through complaints we receive from taxpayers. All of those functions are billed in a similar way a CPA firm would bill for its work. We also periodically provide training for large groups, county judges, CAFTO, for audit-related issues, and we also act as a resource to CPAs or county employees to help give general guidance about specific questions they may have. However, we are unable to do more direct consultation with counties to help them establishing policy or implementing new procedures. Because we are statutorily required to perform audits of county officials, consulting services may impair the auditor's independence, which is a requirement for all audits. Because of the auditing standards we are required to follow, we can't provide any service that might put us in a position that would make it appear that we are auditing work we helped create. We wanted to reach out to provide this information, but please don't hesitate to call if you have any questions or need more information. This is from Libby Carlin, the Assistant Auditor of Public Accounts. I did talk directly to the auditor the day after we met, because I called him the next morning with our request, that we wanted to be the first county to have them come down, and so this was their response. So I guess they
So if they
don't do
special
that.
Districts, is that an option for them to come in and do special districts and then look to an independent service or somebody that could help us with efficiency audits throughout the rest
Well,
of
no,
the
you
departments?
you can hire a firm to do an efficiency audit, according to, well, you were there, and I think you were in the office too, Jody, when I called and talked to him, that we could pay for that on our own if we wanted to. The special districts, they're not so interested in doing the audits themselves, but seeing that audits are done and that fiscal courts have the opportunity to look at them.
Review.
And even budgets, the way he was talking to me, Commissioner Drew, many of the counties don't even, special districts don't even give budgets to their fiscal courts. And that's was kind of shocking to me, because I thought it was just a requirement. We've always required it here. But he says we're one of the few counties that do that. So he said maybe that's what they misunderstood that I was talking about. And I said, well, I don't know. We thought if it was available, we wanted it. We wanted the service if we could get it.
Right.
And so that's where we are there. All right, let's move into old business. You've all received the minutes of the April 17th meeting of the Fiscal Court. Any corrections or additions to the meeting? Minutes of the April 17th meeting of the Fiscal Court.
Motion approved.
I have a motion and a second.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion?
None.
Hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye. Any opposed, no. Motion carries. At the last meeting, we read the resignation letter of Rodney Smith to Sanitation District Number 2. That's the Draftonville Sanitation District. Rodney had sold his interest and no longer had property in the district and resigned as a board member. I did talk with Randy Travis about his replacement. Randy recommends that Jesse Holder replace Rodney as board member of Sanitation District Number 2. That's fine with me. I don't know if y'all had anybody else.
I've had some people express interest. Does Jesse have a background or
That
qualification?
I don't
I'm not
know.
familiar with it.
This is just a recommendation of the chairman,
Do you-
Mr. Travis. I know Jesse lives out there in the neighborhood. He is served by the district. He is a customer. Beyond that, I think there was a young man and a young lady, I think were his children, that played basketball
Yep,
at Marshall County. Isn't that their father?
yep.
Okay, so that's how I knew the name, but as far as knowing Mr. Holder, I don't know that I know him. But that's the recommendation. If you wanna, table it and I can do some more looking into it if you want me to. It doesn't matter to me.
I don't know, I haven't had anyone express an interest to me, so I mean, I don't know if this is known to the public, or if you wanna make it known to the public, whatever you wanna do. We generally don't, we haven't been advertising those, have we?
No.
Taking applications or anything?
You're very limited because of the district. It's a small district,
Right.
Commissioner Anderson, and
Right.
so you're kind of limited on the
Right.
people who are served by the district, so. But whatever y'all want to do is fine with me.
I would just hope that whoever we get on there has some knowledge or expertise that can help them. I think there's some development projects that are getting ready to come up that Bobby was going to be working with them on. I would just hope that we have some,
Have you talked to
Well-
this fellow yourself, Judge?
I beg your
Have
pardon?
you spoken to Mr. Holder
No,
yourself?
no, I've just spoken to Randy.
I would
Randy
ask
Travis.
to table it until you do so. Would
Okay,
you-
be glad
Would you
to.
wanna do that in the next meeting?
Sure.
After you've had a chance to talk to him, and
Yeah.
tell him about the situation out
Sure.
there and see.
Of course, what we're hoping that at some point in time, when that time will be, is, you know, is well down the road, we would like to expand, and we have the capacity now, to expand the district to pick up the high school and Christian Fellowship School.
Right.
Once that happens, that increases your volume, but it increases your intake of money also for the district. So we're hoping that in the next few years, you know, that will be come to being, because that's one of the reasons we expanded the capacity there at Sanitation District Number 2 when we built the new facility there. But I will contact him and then try to report back to you at the next meeting. At the last meeting, you received a copy of the proposed budget for the Marshall County Refuge District. Have you had an opportunity to review that? And if so, I would entertain a motion to accept their proposed budget. We tabled this at the last meeting, give you time to look at it. It's a total budget, I believe, $2,292,000. That is included in there a loan from the county, if need be.
Will that issue be brought back before the court before we make the loan if need be?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was part of their
I make a
agreement.
motion to approve.
Okay. We have a motion by Squire Anderson to approve the refuge budget. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion on that motion?
None.
Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. We had set the county road aid hearing for when, Mel? Today. But we did not get quick enough notice in the paper. We're gonna have it this afternoon. But we have to give notice in the paper of record, and we didn't get it in a timely fashion, so we're asking to move that to what date?
The next court
The
meeting.
next court meeting, which will be
May 15th.
15th,
May the 15th at what did you say, 1 or 1:30?
whatever time you want.
1:30 in the afternoon, give us time to finish court on the 15th of May. That'd be all right with everybody?
Yeah, you good.
If no objection, we'll set the county road aid hearing then for the 15th of May at 1:30 in the afternoon here in the fiscal courtroom. This is something that is required by the Department of Transportation, Division of Rural Roads, that we do each and every year. All right. What is this, Mel?
Emily, you wanna
Um,
explain if they're gonna publish the,
Specific notice, what is?
when you all voted to increase the loan amount that we would be taking out through CAECO on behalf of the Arts Commission, that requires a second reading of the ordinance to reflect the increase in the amount, even though I don't believe the amount is mentioned in the ordinance. But CAECO is telling us we need to have a second reading. So we need to ask your permission to publish that and then have the second reading at the May 15th meeting.
Do you need a motion?
So this is a housekeeping matter that we did approve, that we would, and I believe what we approved was that we would we would partner with the city of Benton on this loan. And I don't
Went
remember the
from
amount. Does any of y'all?
200 to 300.
300,000.
Went up to 300,000 instead of two, yeah.
Right.
And we agreed that we would partner with the city of Benton on that. So apparently we didn't get our notices, or they require more.
It was
So
in there. but
it was
since
in there.
Since it was changed from 200 to 300,000, we have to have the second reading, like Emily said.
Okay. Do I hear a motion? We have the second reading
Make the
of
motion.
of ordinance 2011-10.
Make that motion, Judge.
Second.
Have a motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Any other old business? All right, let's move into new business. Our flex funding, which, the flex funding will not be available until, after July the 1st. We have identified, the roads for, our flex funding: Cap Springs for a resurface, Vaughn's Chapel, and Calvert City Road. These are all resurface programs through the flex funding program. Let me read the resolution that we have to send in and get an agreement with the Department for Transportation and District 1. Whereas the Marshall County Fiscal Court, having participated in the rural secondary program with the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and whereas the governor, having committed monies to the flex funding program by virtue of the letter attached hereto, therefore be it resolved that the Marshall County Fiscal Court shall accept these funds and comply with any and all requirements necessary as set forth by the governor of the Commonwealth of Kentucky and/or the Secretary of Transportation Cabinet, Commonwealth of Kentucky. Just saying we're gonna meet all the standards that they require in the disbursement of these funds. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion, Judge.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Only we'll need to get copies to district office and to Don Pasley, our commissioner. Okay. All right, next we have ordinance number 2012-04, FY 12-13 budget. This is the first reading. We had a budget meeting yesterday, and well, we've had several, but we have to file with the Department for Local Government our first reading, and they then approve it as to form and classification. In the meantime, once that is done, does not mean we cannot amend or alter the budget between now and the time we will be approving the budget. But of course, then any changes that we make, we'll certainly make them aware of. But we send this in to get their approval for form and classification. Then at that point, we try to come up with our final budget. This is an ordinance relating to the annual budget and appropriation. Be it ordained by the Fiscal Court of Marshall County, Kentucky. Section 1, the following budget is adopted for the fiscal year 2012-2013 in the amount stated are appropriated for the purposes indicated. General Fund, $7,243,380. Road Fund, $3,623,925. Jail Fund, $2,055,500. Grant funds, 0. Total Cherokee Park funds, which we don't anticipate using, but we have it, $3,280. 911 fund, $681,500. Occupational Tax Administrator Fund, $300,000. Veterans Van Fund, $6,000. A total appropriation of $13,913,585. This ordinance shall be published in the Tribune Courier newspaper by title and summary within 30 days following adoption. This ordinance shall become effective on passage and publication. All interested persons and organizations in Marshall County are hereby notified that a copy of the county's proposed budget in full is available for public inspection in the office of the county judge executive during normal business hours. Gentlemen, you've heard the first reading of ordinance 2012-04. What is your pleasure?
Motion to approve.
Have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion on the motion?
None.
If we, Judge,
Mary?
if we still have questions on this, like yesterday, I'd ask about Tony telling us what the consequences would be of not replacing his employee. When do we get a chance to hear?
Well, anytime, once they
Anytime?
approve this for
Then we can go
form and
back and look at it?
classification, sure.
Okay, okay,
We can still
And
have
Tony
a budget
wasn't
work-
here
Okay.
yesterday.
okay.
We can still have workshops.
Okay.
Yeah, Tony wasn't here yesterday, that's why he didn't
Okay.
come down. I sent up and he was out yesterday. All right, motion and second. Any further discussion?
None.
Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Next, we have a ordinance 2012-05. This is a budget amendment. First reading. Whereas the Marshall County, this is an ordinance relating to the annual budget and amendment thereof. Whereas the Marshall County of Marshall has received additional bank shares, franchise taxes, ambulance equipment grant funds, spay-neuter grant funds, prisoner housing funds, Water Vision 2020 grant funds, and occupational tax funds. Now be it ordained by the Fiscal Court of the County of Marshall, Section 1, that the annual budget for fiscal year 2011-2012 is amended to increased revenue amounts, bank shares, $20,000, franchise tax, $25,000, ambulance equipment grant, $115,902, animal shelter spay-neuter, $2,000, contract with other counties, and I'm assuming this is the jail, right?
Yes, sir.
$20,000, state prisoners, $60,000, Water Vision 2020, $97,696.26, occupational tax by $300,000, total increased revenue, $640,598.26. The increased expenditures, the ambulance service equipment, of course, that is for the ambulance, right? The
That's
new
the-
unit.
That's the grant that, Mark got
Right.
through one of the fire grants or
Yeah.
something for the cardiac monitors.
For the monitors. Monitor, okay. So that expenditure was $115,902. The animal shelter spay neuter, $2,000. Reserve for transfers, $45,000. Reserve for transfers, $80. Water Vision 2020. Expenditures, $97,696. Reserve for transfer, $300,000, which is an increased expenditure of $645,98.26. The amounts added to the revenue and expenditure accounts in Section 1 are for governmental purposes. What's your pleasure? On the ordinance relating to the annual budget amendment 2012-05.
Motion approved.
Have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. You need that, I guess.
No.
Mel does, okay. Our insurance bid specs, we should have our bid specs ready for anyone who's interested to pick those up, I'm recommending that we go to bid on our insurance bids on the first meeting in June. Give us time to advertise properly, give people time to get bid packets together and back into us. I'd entertain a motion to that effect.
Make a motion.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
All right, motion second, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Hey,
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Russell, have you heard any more on the road transfers that we talked about?
haven't got no letter or nothing.
What we're talking about, and Russell and I think you made contact yesterday with Calvert, with someone, and they had annexed some property, which there were some roads involved, and we weren't sure whether that automatically made them city streets, or we were still obligated to the maintenance of those roads. And it was our understanding they were gonna ask that we just transfer them over to them, but we have not got anything formal yet. So, I think we decided we needed to wait and see if that's what they wanted yet. Okay. All right. We'll keep you informed on that one. Let's, surplus property. We have some property down in Hardin that was given to us some time ago, back in 2000. This is the old Hardin, or South Marshall, club that, it was a hunting club, I suppose. But it was some property located on Old 641 between Hardin and Dexter. In fact, the deed describes it as the west side of Highway 641. It's no longer 641, it's, what is it now, Russell? 1524. 1824. It's the old Hardin Conservation Club. I think we have about 5 acres. Russell has been cleaning that up. We really have no use for it unless, and I haven't talked to Roger, it's kind of a long way out, but if he wanted to put a garden out there for the inmates, or we could just declare it surplus and sell it. It has highway frontage. The value that was, had a value of $5,000 back when it was conveyed to us. It was given to us. I talked with the PVA and he said they have it listed now at $6,500, fair market value. Whatever the court do, if you want to sell it, if you want me to talk to Roger or talk to all the other departments, see if there's any use that we might have for it before we declare it surplus. I don't see us,
I don't know, what
Yeah.
would we use it for?
I don't even Terry, but, I mean, we've had it all this time.
My first thinking is sell it, but if we're gonna wait and contemplate longer, well, fine.
Well, if you like, I'll check with everybody, all the departments, to see if there is anything that, could be used for that. But I think we got it kind of cut down again, Russell. We cleared it once. We if I recall, Jeff, we talked about making a softball field up there.
Yeah, and then 4-H shooting sports used
4-H
it.
shooting sports used it for a while, and then they found somewhere else. But it hadn't really been utilized in some times, because you had to take the dozer, didn't you, Russ?
Those are track hole.
Yeah, to clear it out again. So I'll try to report back at the next meeting or the one after that, after talking with everybody, see if anybody has a use that we might. The cemetery board has requested some gravel on Peck Cemetery Road. Where is that, Russell?
Oak Valley.
Off of Oak Valley. Is that a county maintained road? Most of the cemeteries are, but
Peck Cemetery is, then what this is just an old gravel bed that circles the cemetery itself. It's about 550 foot.
and what they're requesting is that we put gravel or white rock,
White rock.
white rock on? Whose district's that in? Is that yours, Terry?
Is it being utilized now?
I went down there yesterday to measure it, and there was about 3 people down there cleaning it all up. They're making it look good. I mean, it's a maintained cemetery, but they was just doing some extra work.
Did we take in all the cemetery roads, Judge?
We did all that we knew of at that time. That was a kind of a
I didn't know if they were
shotgun
in-
approach.
I didn't know if
Judge Buckingham asked the fiscal court at the time that controversy all came up, that we take every cemetery road into the county road system. And we did so with a blanket order of the court. Now, from time to time, we find cemeteries that we didn't know about.
But they weren't named specifically in the motion, it was just
I think
taking
it's
all
just all
cemeteries.
cemeteries, wasn't it?
So that
I
might be
believe,
in
Russ.
the-
Do you remember, Jeff? That was before your
Before
time.
my time, but I believe it just referred to cemeteries in
Yeah,
general.
we can go back and pull that order from Judge Buckingham.
I mean, when there wouldn't be no question unless it's a new one.
Right, right, and this is not a new cemetery, this has been there a while. So I'm assuming that was part of the overall order.
Well, we're maintaining all the others, I'd make a
Yeah.
motion that we put the white rock on it.
All right,
I agree.
we have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Yeah.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Intra-fund transfer, Emily.
I need to move $100,000 into occupational tax fund, $100,000 into jail fund, and $100,000 into the payroll fund. All out of occupational tax administrator. Occupational tax fund is just to cover expenses. The jail fund is fronting that because we're waiting on the
State
jail,
money.
the state money to come in. They're starting to get further and further behind. Payroll fund is a loan to cover the sheriff's payroll. Payroll fund is starting to dwindle, so, just to keep that from being overdrawn, we need to move that money there.
You've heard the request of the county treasurer, what's your pleasure? We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second, any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Need this or no?
No.
All right. Next, accounts receivable report.
Appropriation transfers is
Oh,
actually.
appropriation transfers, I'm sorry.
That's
I
okay.
jumped one there. This is the sheet you're looking at.
Yes. I've highlighted in yellow for you the ones that will be coming out of reserves. The reserve account following all these transfers will be, in occupational fund, will be $264,181.53. This does, move the $200,000 that we have not loaned to the landfill. We did not give that to them. That moves that from their appropriation into reserves, because that's not anticipated to happen in the next couple of months.
All right, you've heard the request, what's your pleasure?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Now, accounts receivable report, Emily.
Payroll fund is do the $35,644.99 for the sheriff's 2011 payroll, and $412,328.38 for the sheriff's 2012 payroll. At this time.
All right. Any questions on the accounts receivable report?
Didn't we approve that
Questions?
37,000?
All right,
So,
Did you? They were.
oh. If there's no questions, then Mr. Witt, you requested that we have, oh, I need a motion to approve the accounts receivable report, I'm sorry.
Did you have a question?
I was trying to jog my memory here. Didn't we approve the 35,644?
Not formally, no,
Not formally.
yes. There was a transfer made into that account to cover that expense, but the expense was not approved separately. There was no motion to pay for the general fund to cover that expense to the payroll fund. I would like for us to make some kind of motion on that before June 30th, because it kinda leaves us hanging.
Right, that's what I was wondering. So the money's been transferred.
We moved money from last month, in the appropriations transfer, that included this $34,000 to go into the sheriff's subsidy
Now, is this,
out of reserves.
That's what I thought.
is this after the, is this after the $230,000 increase on the sheriff's budget?
No, that does not include the increase.
Oh, okay. So this is,
This is just to cover what he has not been able to reimburse us for 2011.
so
We
what
have-
you're, what, well, I'm
And what
trying to
we-
get right here. Oh,
Right.
what are you asking to exonerate the 35,000?
For the-
644?
Yes, for the general fund to cover that expense.
that's for last year.
Yes. Or to make some kind of, to come to some kind of resolution as to how the payroll fund gets that money.
All right.
And I think what we did this year with this budget was try to ensure that all of those costs that we've looked at over the last 2 years were not going to hit us at the end of the year. That's why we increased the budget this year the way that we did. Am I correct?
Right, the problem with that is that and it's got to do with where his budget comes in January and ours comes in
Right.
July. So where we had budgeted $220,000 for this year, our fiscal year
Doesn't
subsidy,
begin till July.
he is January 1, so
Our
we look
part.
like, technically, we're behind quite a bit in paying Kevin, because their first and second quarter payments were $55,000 for the $220,000 subsidy. Well, actually, it needs to be, we owe him about $110,000
If,
roughly, if we can keep that same subsidy amount,
Right.
which we've reduced it a little
If
bit
we have
through
it.
budget, but,
what happens if we don't have it?
well, it would have to come from reserves. You'd have to make sure that there's reserves intact to increase that subsidy amount for the first and second quarters of his calendar year and third and fourth quarters of this fiscal year.
I was thinking we did that when we transferred it last meeting, so
No,
that,
that was just for this 35,000.
That was a transfer, it wasn't an exoneration. Which means it's still hanging out there. I think.
Right. The money has been, the reserves moved this amount, $35,644.99,
Right.
into sheriff's appropriation budget line of his 0150151030. So that amount, his sheriff's subsidy line, now has this amount in it if you all choose to spend this to exonerate the 2011 overage.
if we don't, it's gonna come out of this year's budget. I mean, is that the
I
consequence,
don't
Well-
think, I don't know how you handle it, because Kevin can't pay 2011 fees out of 2012 money.
Right.
There are no more 2011 monies for him. So I don't know what the options are. I think that he has to personally cover it. I think that's what the law says. He has to personally cover it, or the fiscal court covers it. In my opinion, I feel like the fiscal court needs to cover it because you all are given this accounts receivable report every month. You all made a motion, several years back. Tim asked you all to make a motion that you knew you were fronting this money and that you knew that there was a possibility that not all of it would be repaid. So I feel like, I mean, I'm not an attorney, but I feel like that kind of puts us on the spot for it, since we are knowingly reporting this to you all every month, and you know that there's this unpaid debt.
The auditors tell us every year, and we've gone through this, I guess 38 audits that I've gone through. The auditors say, well, now look, you're fronting this money here, but the sheriff is not obligated to pay you back. Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, that's what the law says. Kevin and I have argued with them. Yeah, that's true, but how would a sheriff operate if they didn't get an advancement from the fiscal court? Not just us. I think there might be an exception. I don't know where it is. But I'm gonna say out of 120 counties, 119 of them have to advance the sheriff.
I'd say Jefferson County be the only one.
Only one, if that, and I'm not sure there, so. But anyway, they go through this with us every audit. And my response is, well, yes, but if they don't pay it back, then, you know, our option is to cut his budget the following year. Now, we haven't done that. But technically, you know, you can get down to technicalities, but, I mean, this is not something that's new, from the audit standpoint, because they tell us this every year just about, that, well, you shouldn't, you know, you're advancing and you need to know up front. And Tim did make it plain to the fiscal court what the auditor said. And, I think we even got a motion in the books that the court understood that. So that's where we are at this point. Okay.
Well, I mean,
And
that's how we deal with other overages, isn't it? Same
Well, I
way.
don't-
We
What
just
other
trans-
overages we got?
Well, I mean, they're all over this pages that we've had where they've transferred to cover supplies
Right,
and
but
whatever.
it's not from a separate
It's not,
entity.
it's not
you
from
I
know.
a fee
understand
account.
that, I understand
Right.
that, but the fiscal court has the same responsibility in this issue because we knowingly and willingly
Right,
entered
you-
into
you-
that
right.
agreement.
Well, that's what
So
Tim's
we have the
motion
same-
said.
We have the same responsibility. The auditors told me that when I was sheriff, that if the fiscal court fronted me $500,000 for payroll because I had none, then I didn't have to pay that back. I said, well, that's ridiculous
Right.
to think that you wouldn't pay that back if you
Right.
can. But
See, that's our argument all along, that's what I'm saying.
I'll say publicly, I expect the sheriff to be as prudent as he can with our funds, but unless I can find that he's not, then I feel like we're responsible.
Correct.
Agreed.
Yep.
All right, wait, put it.
So in that case, I guess I'd like a motion to approve this report, and then
I'll
if
make
you
a
all-
motion to approve it.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the accounts receivable report.
And then if you wanted to make a separate motion to cover that expense.
What you'll be saying then is exonerating $35,644.99, is that what you're saying?
Yes, for me to move, I will be moving that amount from general fund into the payroll fund to cover those expenses.
Make that motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. In discussion on the motion.
No.
None.
Hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Mr. Witt, I believe you said, what?
I'm sorry, I elbowed you.
I thought you were trying to tell me something, Emily. All right, all right. We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
We'll be in executive session, all right. Call the court back into regular session. We have had some complaints and concerns about the mowing contract. We have asked Mr. Witt to meet with the person who got the contract, and the areas that were mentioned, to give 2 weeks in order to get these things caught up, and then Larry will report back to the court at the next regular meeting. And then at that time, we'll determine whether or not the contract is being met. Okay, each of you have had an opportunity to review the bills. Do I hear a motion to pay the bills?
Motion to pay the bills.
I have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Any other business come before the court?
Yes, Judge.
Whoops.
Sorry, go ahead.
In relation to the mowing contract, the way we issue payments is the first of each month. We paid for April. Do you want us to hold May's payment or go ahead and issue that?
You pay by the month though?
Are we a month behind? Do we pay a month behind?
We pay at the beginning of each month for that month upfront.
Larry, do you have a recommendation?
We should hold it and
Hold May?
probably get correct.
Bring it back up in 2 weeks.
Yes.
Okay,
Or
is that consensus?
Since we're paying before,
could we,
yeah.
Pay
Or
like.
pay half?
could we pay a quarter or what, we talked about a week over there. and-
Well, actually, 2 weeks till the next court meeting.
Okay.
If we could pay half and
Half of
then,
that.
I would feel
I'd
more
make a
comfortable with
motion to
that.
pay half. I know
yeah,
he's-
I mean, he probably needs the money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody put that in the form of a motion.
Make a
we
motion to
pay
pay
half.
half.
All right, we have a motion, is
Thank
there a
you.
second? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Okay,
The Animal Shelter Committee met on April the 20th. I think all of you have minutes from that, and on the 27th, Justin was there, and he took minutes on that day. But Jeff, I know you weren't there, but the committee has asked that the court meet with the shelter staff and wardens in reference to the 120-page recommendation handed down from the state. It's a very lengthy document. It has a lot of recommendations. Some or all of it may apply, but it may not. So they wanted to know if you all would be willing to sit down and look at it. I've had Justin print off copies for all of you, and maybe help clear up some of the miscommunication that we have going on, and wanted to see if you all would be willing to set a date and meet with the staff and wardens on that document.
sure, I'd like to give us, everybody time to read the document. As Commissioner Drew said, these are state recommendations. Some of them will apply to us, some of them,
Yeah.
you know, some of them are urban, some of them are
Right.
rural. So, you know, we'll have to sift through it. It's a rather lengthy
It is.
document, but if you take the time to read through it, make notes or slash out what you think might not use, did they give a time when they wanted to do this, Commissioner?
They've got some issues that really need to be addressed, just a lot of issues we discussed, and in the minutes, I think you'll see that. I think Justin's preparing those for you, but the staff had quite a few concerns, and I'm sure the wardens have some issues too, but, so as soon as possible, they would like to meet. As soon as you all have an opportunity, and I think Justin has a copy for you all, so maybe a week or two.
Y'all be fine with me.
Next court meeting.
Is he gonna have the paperwork ready today?
He's got it in there for you, he made copies
Yeah,
this morning.
I think he's making copies of this, the report, like Misty said, this is state guidelines. Some of it's will apply, some won't. But we have to look at it in totality, I think, and then take out what's not applicable to us. And then the minute, did y'all get copies of the minutes? I got a copy of them, I didn't know if
I
y'all
passed
did.
these out,
You already passed, okay.
or Mel
Okay.
did.
Now, we do have the
County
rural
Road
road,
Meeting.
rural road hearing that afternoon. That shouldn't take long, it really,
Just do it after that.
we can do it after that,
Okay.
is that too long,
I-
Commissioner?
I think that would be fine. It would give everybody an opportunity to
To
review
read
it.
the-
Like I said, it's lengthy.
Yeah.
And a lot of it we've already implemented through our shelter policies, which you have in your phase 1 and phase 2 copies that we handed out to you. So a lot of that doesn't even apply. You can kind of overlook that.
All right, if, no objection, we'll meet, let's say at 2:30,
Okay.
in the afternoon of the 15th, did we say that's when the next meeting was?
Where will that be, Judge? Here?
We'll do it here, yeah. May have to get somebody to cover out there, but, you know,
Okay.
we've got plenty of room here. I don't know we'd have room out there to, everybody to meet.
No, it's difficult just
Yeah,
having
I
our
think
meetings.
just have it here, okay. There's no objection. Okay, anything else?
I just want to mention, encourage all y'all to remember Thursday is the National Day of Prayer out here at the courthouse at 11 o'clock. Encourage all of you to be there if you can, especially condition our nation, the state, and our county, things, transitions we're going through. It'd definitely be warranted to have divine intervention.
We
Play a
have,
part in that.
lady across the street works very hard on putting this thing together. Brenda does a great job putting this together every year. And, really, we've had a lot of people, that come. Hopefully now, if it rains, we'll move indoors. We'll go upstairs. That's we do it rain or shine. So it won't be a problem. If we do have a few showers, we'll just move upstairs to the, circuit courtroom. But normally, I like the setting out in the front yard, for that. Also, there was something else coming up. Can't remember. The animal shelter did have a load the truck or
Stuff the truck.
stuff the truck, event on, last Saturday down at Wendy's parking lot. A great success, man. And when I took my stuff down there, that truck was already almost full. And, they got dog food, cat litter, bleach, a little of everything. So we certainly appreciate everybody that participated. Next Saturday is Critter Day, out at the, county park. Dr. Jaco, and his staff will be putting it on. We, plan to have, several of our animals there, ready for adoption. That'll begin, does anybody know the time on that? Wendy, do you know the time on that?
See, we're meeting at 10, so is it 12, something like that? And all the animals that are adopted that day will be spayed and neutered by Dr. Jaco's clinic.
Yes, free of charge, so that's, that should be a good event. Trying to think if there's something else coming up. The next board meeting for the health clinic, I'm glad you brought that up, that will be our next board meeting will be, on the 7th, which is next Monday. And it will be here, I believe, at the courtroom. I met with, Brother Don and Don Thomas, last week. We've got our mission statement that we'll be, providing and presenting to the committee. We also and then we'll have another meeting, I believe, on the 21st. What we're trying to do is get our board together. We've elected our officers. Reverend Tim Pauley of the First Christian Church is going to be our chairman, as we work toward this. Now, folks, we're looking, to the fall of the year, maybe even longer, by the time we get all of our 501c3 designations and see. The first hurdle we've got to overcome is to try to get involvement in the community, particularly our churches and our faith-based organizations, because without their support, this thing will not get off the ground. We've been getting a lot of encouragement from Angels Attic at Murray, Angels Clinic at Murray, St. Nicholas Clinic in Paducah. I don't know what they call the one in Graves County in Mayfield, but we're getting some of their policies, their guidelines, their protocols. So Dr. Graham and Judy Smith, his wife, they have put a lot of time and effort into this, but it's our opinion. If we can't get the involvement of the community, we're not gonna continue wasting everybody's time, because I'm on 13 boards. I don't need another board to be involved with, but I feel very strongly that this is needed for our community, and hopefully it will come to be. Jeff, I think I volunteered you to do quite a bit of the legal work, to take care of this, which I'm sure you appreciate very much. No, we've had attorneys, doctors, nurses, professional people, shop owners, to volunteer, and we're really encouraged, I think, by the outpouring that we've got, so we'll continue working on. Any other business? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion.
Motion adjourned.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.